Welcome to St. Paul United Methodist Church Music and Message segment. We are glad you joined us. Let's just praise the Lord.
And I welcome each and every one of you. I especially welcome each and every one of our fathers who are in the congregation this morning. Amen. And those who are at home. After all, this is Father's Day. Amen. And not only are we celebrating in this country Father's Day today, we're also celebrating Juneteenth. This time, we will have a musical selection of Finda Stryker. Our scripture this morning is taken from Philippians, the first chapter, 19 through the 27th verses. For I know that through your prayers and the help of the Spirit of Jesus Christ, this will turn out for my deliverance. It is my eager expectation and hope that I will not be put to shame in any way, but that by my speaking with all boldness, Christ will be exalted now and always in my life, whether by life or by death. For to me, living is Christ, and dying is gain. If I am still in the flesh, that means fruitful labor for me, and I do not know which I prefer. I am hard pressed between the two. My desire is to depart and be with Christ, but that is far better. But to remain in the flesh is more necessary for you. Since I am convinced of this, I know that I will remain and continue with all of you for your progress and joy and faith, so that I may share abundantly in your blessing in Christ Jesus when I come to you for prayer. Only live your life under the word of the gospel of Christ, so that whether I come and see you or am absent and hear about you, I will know that you are standing firm in one spirit, striving side by side with one mind for the faith of the gospel. These are the words of God.
Say a word. Like all these good church people I've been hanging out with, all of a sudden they have abandoned me. Well, when you get to that stage, it's actually moving on up. Isn't that something? And you know what Guelich and others discovered is that most church people are in stage 2. They imagine there are 6 stages, and most of us are in 2. I'm not saying that's where you are. I'm just saying that research shows most people are in learning about God. They learn. Finally, some of them begin to do some work, productive. And then stage 4 is that life of crisis. And apparent loss of faith. I like that word, apparent. Because they didn't lose their faith. But sometimes it looks that way. Or it seems even to the person, it may seem like God doesn't matter anymore. Do not lose faith. You are actually just getting a little bit higher. That's something. To get a little bit higher, you got to get in trouble with God. Just like get in trouble with your parents. So you go through crisis. You don't give up. You still hold on to God's unchanging what? Hand. Still hold on to God's unchanging hand. And actually, I meant to put good deal of space between 4 and 3 because people who walk into 4 began shove, push, drag. Nobody wants to go to crisis and do that. So you don't just end up there. You actually have to be pulled in there by God's Spirit. And at stage 5 is a faith in surrendering to God. It's a journey outward, but it's really surrendering to God. Finally saying to God, okay, Lord, I give up. Whatever you want to do with me, big or small, that's it. And at stage 6, which I'm not going to read for you, because I'm going to take you to the sermon for today. Have you considered what stage are you in? As you ponder your home stage, you know, each of those things I put there, there's a home stage for each of us. Wherever your home stage is, I hope you will begin to think, where am I in stage 2? Am I in stage 3, stage 4? You know, and sometimes we get caged, they call it. Sometimes we get locked up in a certain stage and we cannot move forward. That is why we spend all this time these last 5 weeks, and now week number 6. Sharing with you, don't give up. Don't lose faith. It's all part of growing in God. You know, most churches stop at stage 3. They don't know what to do with it. That's okay. God knows what to do with it. So let's look at stage 6, the life of love. At this stage, we reflect God to others in the world more clearly and consistently than we ever thought possible. You know, when I think about that, I think Bishop Desmond Tutu, for example, fight for justice mixed with humor and wit. We give our all without feeling like it is a sacrifice. We give it everything. Everything. The woman, we think Sojourner Truth, give everything. Sometimes people at stage 3 are confused with people at stage 6 because they are all helping somebody. It's productive, it's outward, it's outreach. But the difference is people at stage 3 give to God what they can afford to give. Of the time, of the talent, of the possessions, of the money. People in stage 6 give more than they can afford to give. Isn't that? Everybody being blessed by God. But the difference is that one at stage 6 don't care. And the family look at them, are you crazy? You know, that's stage 6 for you. Think the widow with a few copper coins that Jesus saw when she came and brought her what? Her what? Her all. Her all. Stay with me here. Even though it may be very difficult for others to understand us at this stage, or understand people at stage 6, people at stage 6 tend to uplift others. I'm thinking Dr. Martin Luther King, for example. In the midst of joy or hardship, still being able to inspire by the life. Life at this stage is permeated by love because of the constant dialogue between God and the person at stage 6. Now I know I've kind of shot myself in the foot here, because all of the names I mentioned are somewhat famous. They're well known. But I don't want to give the impression that stage 6 people are only well known. I don't think they're known because I know you will know them too. But there are so many people who are in stage 6 who are anonymous, but they are still there making a difference in their neighborhood. And some of you know them by name. You wonder, what in the world is she doing? She doesn't have a lot. And then she's giving it. What's wrong with you? Yeah, that kind of thing. In Paul's letter to the Christians in Philippi, Paul writes of his desire for courage so that Christ can be exalted in his body, whether by life or by death. He says, for me to live is Christ, and to die is gain. I don't know what to choose, living or dying, he says. I am torn between the two. I desire to depart and be with Christ. I want to go and be with the Lord. But for your sake, I will stick around a while longer to help you. We should better, but it is more necessary that I remain in the body. But again, that's a stage 6. Whatever the Lord wants from me, so let it be, is what Paul was saying. At stage 6, we have little ambition for being well-known, for being rich, for being, by the world standard that is, for being successful, for being good-worthy, oriented, or spiritual. We are like vessels into which God pours his Spirit. And that vessel just continues to overflow. At stage 6, we become aware that the more of God we have, the less of everything else we need. It's not that we renounce the material possessions, we simply learn to need them less. You know, I think about this. So, turn your eyes upon Jesus. Look full in his wonderful face, and the things of earth will grow. There you go. Somebody knows that song. And the things of earth will grow strangely dim in the light of his glory and his grace. So have you found yourself drifting in the direction of stage 4 or 5 or 6? And finally in 6, when material things mean so little to you. Hopefully you have. If you get to that place, praise be to God, God can use you in a mighty way. Now, we may not be there today. We may not get there tomorrow. But for goodness sake, don't slow down your journey. It is a journey, isn't it? Which means it takes time. There's our steps. And we have to work it. So I don't know, have I told you all about Father Damien? Maybe I have, maybe I haven't. Father Damien is one of my, one of the guys I like to talk about. And I feel I've been there 3 years, I haven't spoken about Father Damien yet. I may have spoken about him 20 years ago, I don't know. But Father Damien, his story is very powerful. But as I was looking for the story of Father Damien to refresh my own memory, I came across another story on a woman named Amy Carmichael. Amy Carmichael. She was born in 1867 in Ireland, and she finally ended up in India. One of the mission groups were willing to send her there. And while she was there, a little girl, 7-year-old, Brianna, something like that, came to her. Well, the girl, let me give you a little bit of a backstory. It was at that time in India, in that place, girls were given to the temple priests to be somehow responsible for the temple, but more than that went on back there. Those parents didn't know that. They just thought they were giving their daughters to God. And when this girl ran away and told Amy Carmichael what was going on, that they were really being temple prostitutes. What was going on? She took this child, and even though the authorities came and wanted to take her, she said, no, I'm not going to give her back. And people heard about it, and the next one that ran away, guess who they came to? Amy Carmichael. And the one who came ran away after that, Amy. Next thing you know, laws you have 4, then she have, 100. And then she finally created a whole institution to help to make a difference. All of those girls became basically her daughters. We call her Amma. But she served. That is a same-sex. Somebody who, in a foreign country, risking what others may do to her because of their religion, but realizing that if she did not stand up, nobody will stand up for those young ladies. And then down to Damien's story. Father Damien was born in Belgium. He was born in Belgium. And he became a priest. And he took on the name Damien. Went to Hawaii, Honolulu, and then from there to a place called Molokai, where that's a place where, as people in that time, in the 1800s, would get leprosy or Hansen disease, they didn't know how to treat it, they didn't have treatment for it at the time. And it's not as contagious as people think, but at least in that day and time, it was a frightening disease. And so they would put all these people on that island. And when the church decided those persons needed to have a spiritual leader as well. But the bishop did not want to just send somebody because he felt it was unfair. Because chances are that person would never return to the mainland, or to Hawaii or Honolulu, wherever. So they decided that they would ask for volunteers. And 3 of them, or 4 of them, volunteered to go and work with people with leprosy. When Damien got there, he stayed his tour, his length of time, and it was time for the next priest to come, because the idea is they will take them in and out so that hopefully somebody will actually not get sick maybe before it's time for them to leave. But he loved the people so much that he said, no, the next priest didn't have to come, you stay. And the next priest didn't have to come, you stay. And the next priest didn't have to come, he stayed there 12 years. Well, 11 years, and he got sick. And another 5 years of being sick with leprosy. He himself died from it. That is stage 6. Giving one's all, abandoning oneself to God's service. Now, when on his dying bed, he looked how happy he was. He looked at his brother, telling him how happy he was that he was able to serve the Lord. Stage 6, my brothers and sisters, is Christ-like living in total obedience to God. That the wisdom that you gain from life's struggles, and life will have struggles, compassionate living for others, and detachment from things, detachment from stress, life that is abandoned to God's service. That is stage 6. And eventually one gets there by working through all of the other stages. And the exercise suggestion is go and read the gospel of Jesus Christ. See, how can I become a true disciple of Jesus Christ? Working every step of the way. Knowing that this journey doesn't just stop with learning John 3:16. It doesn't just stop with learning that Revelation can be explained this, and other. It doesn't just stop with having intellectual knowledge. It is a journey in which we abandon ourselves totally to God's use and trust God to use us however God sees fit. Now, my brothers and sisters, that is stage 6. You can't get any higher than that. Amen. Any benediction? All right. Please stand for benediction. Again, we pray blessings upon all of you, especially on this Father's Day. And now, may the blessing of God, the one that is almighty, the one that requires everything from us, all that we are, because God has given all that God is for us. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, peace of Christ be with you.